Welcome everybody to session 1AY, modern coding and debugging experiences using VS Code for mainframe software. Azat is your presenter today. Okay, so I've disabled the meeting room, Azat, so you don't have to worry about people getting caught. Sorry, the waiting room. So you don't have to worry about people getting caught there. If you'd like to start, that'd be brilliant. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart. So let me just share the screen and stop the video to use the broadband fully. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my session, Modern Coding and Debugging Experiences using VS Code for mainframe software. So today I will talk about how these modern coding and editing experience are handled in Code4Z project. And as a case study, I will show those features using VS Code. So before all, let me talk a little bit about the background. So today, developers, each of them have their favorite IDE, which supports the powerful tooling support during development, like code completion or syntax highlighting, debugging, even like integrated with different systems like Git and many others. So this is the same with the VS Code, because it is the also currently popular source code editor, which is quite lightweight and fast. So it is also one of the developers' choice. If you look at in this perspective, but in the market at the same time, we have a lot of projects which is maintained using mainframe tools, which is traditional. And at the same time, there are a lot of projects and there are a lot of workforce are needed to maintain that projects. But changing the user experience across the tooling is not so straightforward, and it's sometimes it's quite frustrating. And regarding to that one, modernizing the mainframe process already started, like projects Open Mainframe, Zowie, and Code4Z. So the idea is providing a developer choice of his own IDE during the coding, and a developer will code on mainframe software like COBOL, LASM, and many others. So this will motivate him to choose his own favorite IDE. So how can we do that? This is exactly like on the Code4Z project using the Zowie. We are using two new specifications, LSP and DAP, and using those specifications, we implement the solution, which is called Code4Z extensions. I will go into more detail in next slides. So in this slide, I will talk on this picture. And so when we look at on the left side of this picture and then compare it with the right side, on the left side, as we see, there are like 4 IDEs and multiple programming languages. Before LSP was introduced, every IDE, like implementing their own plugins or services to support the language smartness, like highlighting, go-to definition, and many others. So for example, IntelliJ will implement language support for Java, Python separately, JavaScript separately. So Sublime or VS Code, Eclipse do the same. And when we look at it here, so it is 4 editors and here 5 languages. This implies 4 times 5 is 20. So there are M multiplied by N complexity. So which means every IDE vendors, they need to implement for every new language or all the time keeping implementing the project at the same time. And another approach is here, for example, if we have a new language is implemented, for example, during the university, some students cooperating with these professors and make a really good programming language, but they are lack of like a tooling support. So to solve this one, in 2016, Microsoft came with an idea, making the editor agnostic approach, which means we will just separate the editor from the language support, and we will just provide all these language smartness as a separate extension, and each tool have a just plug them in and start using it. So this makes like a quite big difference, and this motivates like you can just make any language or just provide an extension, and you are very safe from the tool point of view at the same time. And when we look at the market, for example, there are some programming languages which is company-based like Java, .NET, so which means they are already like have a tooling support at the same time. And also some like a contributor-based language like Python, JavaScript, and many others, they have also tooling support. But for new language and those things, like especially also the developers, if they want to their own choice of editor, then it's this LSP approach is today's like a right way to go. And here, as you see in the right side, using this LSP approach, we already like decreased the complexity from MN to M plus N. So this is a like a from a tooling point of view, it's quite handy. So tool vendors just they implement their solution and just register it to the marketplace, and other tool vendors can use it for their tools as well. So this is not only supported by a limited language, because today there are more than 50 language servers existing, and more than 10 tools are supporting this LSP. Like also you can use for CodeSpace, Eclipse Share, and Atom, and many others. So now here, let me just talk a little bit more about the LSP protocol itself. So the LSP protocol is based on JSON RCP. The idea is, the architecture is, we just separate it to the client part and the server part. They are completely independent from each other. So they are two separate processes. They can be run on the same machine or on the multiple machines. And as you see here, for the VS Code case, it has its own like an extension for the client, and which is completely unaware of the language server. So you can implement your language server using any language. And in our solution, we use the Java. You can use Python, TypeScript, and any option. So they communicate using JSON RCP. The messages are, for example, request, response, and notification. There are three main message types, but you can implement more than 40 kinds of the messages. So the JSON is mainly for the request and response because of the communication. They are communicating using the request ID, then the method itself, method name, and according to that one, the communication is happening aware of the position and the document URI where the document is settled. So this is how communication is happening. And regarding to the language server implementation, there is already like a implemented API for Java, which is LSP4G. This is also for the DAP. Later I will discuss it. So how can we implement our language server? So the basic thing is you need to implement one of all of these interfaces, like a language server, text document service, and workspace service. But you can also implement like a client service, settings service, just to provide more functionality and to make it more like a configurable according to your needs. And here, if like the language server interface is responsible for initialization, for handshaking, and for shutting down the servers. One example is when you start the application, for example, you can just serve the client which kind of capabilities are supporting the language server. So that's then one example. And the text document service is the main service which is responsible for the diagnostics. So if user is opening the document, changing the document, and all those diagnostics are processed by the server, and the server is responding with appropriate error message or warning message. And all these activities are done in the text document service. And the workspace service also, this is responsible for workspaces, and especially VS Code, there is a separation of workspace and the project global definition. So this will be very handy when you are implementing these services. And regarding to the messages, I will a little bit mention more about it, because you will deal with the text itself like an editor. Then you will have some more pop-ups or such related stuff. So regarding to that one, there is like administration messages and diagnostic messages, which you will handling it. So until now, just I talked about what LSP server protocol brings, and this is the great idea. But let me talk about its limitations a little bit as well, because this makes our editor agnosticism quite easier, but at the same time we are quite addicted with the native integrated IDEs, which is supporting full solution. So in this case, when we have a solution with the LSP server, we will be looking like how can we test or how can we debug it. But for debugging, we will have another protocol. So it should be implemented as another extension. And for the tooling side, for example, with the full-fledged IDE, you will have wizards to see some entity diagrams or some type hierarchies. Those things will be missed. So you need to find an alternative extensions or some services. Another thing is we need to be aware, for example, here LSP solution for the COBOL, we are using Java programming language to implement it, which means when we use it in the VS Code, we need a Java virtual machine. So which means there is a memory consumption is increased. So those things will be kept in the mind, and this is the same with the Python as well. So those are the LSP related things. Here, I want to just mention a little bit shortly regarding to the implementation of our COBOL language server. For providing the language server functionality, we were using LSP4j, but for the grammar, which we are providing for COBOL or even different languages, to parse them, there is a great tool, Antler, and this provides us all the parsing related information, and which we will use it during the diagnosing. So this is about the LSP server protocol, and in the coming slide, this is debug adapter protocol. And this debug adapter protocol is actually the twin technology, which is fulfilling the LSP by means of because we need a debugging support. So the idea is same. Currently, every tool vendor, they need to implementing their own debugger for each language, and this is the same things is applying here to keep implementing for new languages or for new use cases. And that's why the better way is to make those solutions reusable. Here, the AP protocol, again, separating the debuggers from the editors. So the idea is each tool will have its own generic debugger, and we will provide a solution which is called a debug adapter using the AP protocol. So this debug adapter help us to communicate to the debuggers or runtimes, and it is integrated in our IDEs. Here, the main important thing we need to be aware is generic debugger, like for each language, you need to provide a separate configuration because it is generic debugger, so it will be really difficult to provide here default configuration. That's why I will also mention it during the demo time, like the configuration is a first step which you will start before using this extension. And regarding to the features, currently, like these are the most obvious features during the debugging, like breakpoints, log points, hit points, watch expressions, and conditional and unconditional breakpoints, because they are the events which is triggered when we are debugging. So let me continue. Just before that one, I will go back one back to the former slide, and just a little bit completing how the communication is handled. So during the communication, either we can use request response messages or notification, because during the notification, just you notify the server and the rest will be taken care of by the server. So, okay, let me continue with the code for this solution. This is the exactly the solution which I explained, like a LSP and DAP. Using these two protocols as a part of this code4z all-in-one package extensions, we are providing the COBOL language support and debugger for mainframe and HLASM for the assembler language as well. So the code4z solution is a all-in-one package, so which means it is consisting of currently 6 more extensions, but we will keep it enhancing with different languages like GCL and many others. And for a complete solution to work with the mainframe and to make the life of developers or system administrators easier, so the complete solution is here provided. For example, Zovi Explorer is helping us not to work with the ISPF or those green screen tools. Just using the VS Code, we can now access to the data sets, we can send our jobs, we can edit it, and using the VS Code, we easily like play on those requirements which daily developer is using. And for the COBOL language support, this is the extension which helps us, which helps the developer to code using COBOL programming language. It provides all the language smartness features, and also it helps us for resolving copybooks to use it during the development time. And for the debugger for mainframe, this is another extension. I will do the demo as well. So helping us to debug for kicks and batch applications using the testing tools server. And for the developers who want to code on the assembler, there is another extension exactly providing the language smartness features for this language. And this is the alternative tool, which mostly like as a Git or SVN like that. So this is for mainframe, it is Endeavor, and this is also provided as an extension in VS Code, so you can use it to connect to the Endeavor and fetch your all entities. So there is another like a quite handy tool which is called COBOL control flow. This helps us to visualize our COBOL code. So this is all related to the code for this solution. And here, as a just complementary, for LSP and DAP, there is a, let me just go there, it will be more handy to, yeah. This website is keeping update and how many languages we have, like LSP support, and which features are supported there. As you see here, it is code completion, hover over, jump to definition, workspace symbols, references, and so on. And also there is a like additional features which you can provide additional to standard references provided by LSP. So in our case, we will provide the automatic copybook resolution and supporting the DB2 and kicks and IDMS statements, so you can easily code on them, and outline support as well. So the COBOL language support and Classum, all of them are open source projects. So under the Eclipse license, you can easily reach them. And if you want, you can do the contribution as well.
There's a question.
Yes.
Are all of these extensions centrally administered? If I have 100 users, do each one of them need to do their own admin, i.e. install and configure?
I will in the next slide exactly now I will start the demo, and let me answer it here. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yes, sure. Thank you. So let me now start with demo part. And as I mentioned, like this code for Z is all plugins here like a packaged here. So which means if only you install this one, you will have like a COBOL language support, Zovi, Endeavor, all of them together. But if you don't want all of them, just like just one, for example, just I'm searching because there are a lot of extensions here. If you want just COBOL language support, then just you install this one because I already installed it, and you will continue in this way. So they are independent, but if you want to use the copybooks, then you need to install the Zovi as well as a part of. So it's completely depending on your own need. So it's better to start with the code for Z. And if you have a lot of extensions and if you want to uninstall some of them, then just you can use it independently by one by. And there are more like a language support extensions here for different languages as well. So let me back to the, is that answering your question? Okay, let me continue.
The answer was no. I'm going to unmute you, Atul, then so you can ask the question, okay?
Okay, fine. So let me back.
Just 1 minute then, Asad. I've unmuted the person asking the question.
Okay.
Thanks. Hi, Asad. So the question is that if I've got 100 people in my team,
yes,
does each of them have to download and install that extension? Or if I'm head of the tools team, can I download the extension and apply it to all of those 100 users in one go?
No, because these tools, as we explained, like this language support is for tool like a one tool, one language server, which means each developer has their own VS Code. So they need to install it because the server and client should be communicating. And that's why you need to install it separately, each developer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, at the same time, just maybe in the debugging section, I will mention it as well. You can use this extension in the Eclipse share as well, Cloud Web Editor. But we will, in this session, we will mention about the VS Code. Yeah, okay. So this is the COBOL language support LSP for COBOL. This is the extension, and I will go through the features supported. So let me start with just creating a new file. So I just created it, not to lose time. And as you see, like historically, COBOL is started to work with the punch cards. So, which means like 80 characters in length. So as you see in the VS Code here, so this is simulating it just to make the life easier for COBOL developer. And as you see, using the tab, you can exactly like jump to the sections, because in the punch card, like a sequence area, area A, B, or comment area, all those are quite like meaningful during the programming. So as you see, using this tab, you can easily jump, and shift tab, makes it backward. So this is the like exactly regarding to the COBOL punch card. So I created a completely new file. Our extension is supporting the COB extension CBL and COBOL. So which means if you are creating file with those extensions, you will get the support for the COBOL. So let me start with the auto completion. With the auto completion feature, this is the like a quite handy feature for each developer. This makes faster the development quite fast, and you will have many support. So we have the same for example, if you look like a functions for COBOL, many different functions you have it, or if you do the blogs like condition blogs, all of them are supported here. So beside that one, like all the keywords, like for example, if you want to code with the SQL, you see the sequence or all the table and kicks related or IDMS related stuff. But also we are supporting the code snippets. So the code snippets, of course, VS Code has some like a default code snippets, but we are, in addition to that one, we are supporting code snippets for COBOL language. And let me give just a small example. Just you open the new file and just start coding. And this is the fast program you can develop in using this extension. So you have all main blocks, and then inside you go it and you start coding. For example, I want to write the SQL code. As you see here, it is a warning because SQL code should go in the area B. So, and you start just typing some table and so on. So this is supporting for, so using this COBOL program, you can write SQL. DB2 is actually the IBM. We are completely supporting this IBM specification, the latest version. And also this support is existing for the kicks block and IDMS as well. So this is related with the application support, but let me go a little bit more about this code snippets, because this makes our life even more easier. As you see, another side is in this code completion, for example, it's mixed all the keywords, all the functions, codes, many of them are mixed. So if you want to just concentrate on the code snippet itself, just Control-Shift-P, this is the most used functionality in VS Code, and just search the insert snippet. because we are in the COBOL program, COBOL, then you see all these code snippets are which we are providing for COBOL are listed here. So this is the quite handy way of just concentrating on the code snippet itself. And there are, I guess, around 200 of them. So you will get the snippets. Plus, you can even have, if you have a spatial like code blocks, it can be easily added. And this is the related to the code snippet. But there is a you can do more. For example, as you see here in the configuration, there is already snippets, which means in the VS Code, there is a two separation of concepts. One is, let me just mention it, as you see in the configuration, it is user and workspace, which means for each new instance of the VS Code, you have a workspace. So the configuration for this workspace is different, it's specific to this workspace. And then there is a user configuration. This is a global. So which means if you have 4 instances of VS Code is opening, so you can configure their global configuration and all your instances will use it. Why I'm mentioning this one? Because it's also related with the code snippets here, because when you open the here code snippets, and as you see here, existing code snippets, I will show it. Plus you can create your own, using globally, which means it will be kept in that user configuration there, or it can be like a language specific, like here, just if you provide language for the C++, then these snippets will be only available as a scope, like in that language. So I will not create all of them. I have some of them already, so I will show it. So 2 kinds of snippets. One is user. So you will create it under here. As you see, this is user specific. If you want, you can share with your colleagues. If you want, just you make it as a global then. So, and as you see, this is CGCS just for this one. And I will open, for example, completely different file here, not COBOL one. And when I look at it, and this is existing from my user snippets. Also, another thing, for example, this one is created in the global. Why handy? Because for every file, for example, we are inserting the license agreement and many such others. So this will be quite handy if you have such prefixes or some license agreement related to all files, then you can easily make a global. And the global one is kept here in the under your user. No, not here. I will make it easier. So you can user configuration and just reveal it in the browser. And you see here all the global configurations. So that's related to the code, the configuration. And let me continue with different stuff now. I will close all of them. So think about now you are just checking out the code from the repository. And when you open it, you already have the coloring support, as you see, for COBOL. And at the same time, you have outline support. So this makes your navigation easier. So you can easily go, because mostly this COBOL code is comparing to other languages, there will be a huge amount of lines. So this outline makes your life quite easier when you are navigating. Another thing is, so the hover over support, as you see, because this is the hosted variables actually. even now we are supporting not only for this like a regular variable in the COBOL code, we are supporting it for hosted variables for DB2 statements as well. And here you can go to the definition. So, and you can go back to the references where it is used. So you can easily find where it is used. And another thing is, like as I mentioned, if your code is quite big, then we have an extension. It is a part of the Code4Z extension, or you can install it separately as well. So for the paragraph part, you can just visualize your paragraphs. And even this one is like it's providing the labels with the definition. And this is the quite handy tool, especially if you have quite big files with a lot of paragraphs. And another tool, the feature is the breadcrumbs. And many other languages are supporting. So this is the same for COBOL language. We are supporting it. And this is another way of navigation. But this is like this is complete, because the good side of this breadcrumb is you will have a completely like starting from the where it is. And that you can enable and disable all this stuff, just show the navigation in the file itself. This is completely up to your configuration. So this is related to the breadcrumb. As you see, you can just go more inside. So this is related with the, let me back to the slide, not to skip some. Okay, highlighting, semantic check, go to definition, I already mentioned. Yeah. So these are the language features. Let me continue with different file then. Now think about like you just get the file from the repository and you see like it is already full of errors. So, and this using this extension, like it makes your life easier, and the proper diagnostic message is already provided to you. So just using the auto-completion, you start fixing it, and another error. And of course, like according to the IBM specification, where you code the SQL, where you shouldn't. For example, you only use the declare and include statements regarding to SQL in the beside the procedure division. So as you see here, this the SQL statement is not appropriate here, begin, declare, and those are the permitted here. So just move it to back to the procedure division and you will get appropriate area, because you should code under the area B. This is more COBOL related stuff. And by the way, like all those features like data manipulation, creation, or query support, all those related SQL statements are complete. All of them are supported in this extension in the COBOL code. And then you will continue here. As you see, this is the same for the kicks part as well. You should code it in the area B. What's going on? Yes. And here, as you see the error, so column 80, this is the punch card exactly. So just make it fitting in the exactly in the 80 columns. And you continue with resolving all those errors. And one more thing here regarding to the hosted variables. And when you look at it, it is not defined. So just you will resolve, as you see, all the errors using the diagnostics of the language server. So this is related with the diagnostics. Now, let me start with the with the copybooks. Majority of the developers for COBOL, for LASM, the practices using the copybooks is quite widespread. So that's why the extension is supporting automatic resolution of copybooks. So what does it mean? So let me mention it. You can either use your copybooks, just copy paste to your local system. So which means first thing is just you create a folder in your workspace and just put all your copybooks, as you see. At the same time, we are providing the semantic and syntax check for the copybooks as well, if it has the extension with CPI. Or you can, let me back to the configuration, because before using the copybooks, you need to configure it. And in the workspace, in the extensions, once you install it, you will have those configuration related stuff. And I already edited, but it is empty in the beginning. So which means which data sets you want to use from the mainframe, or in locally, like in your, I will show it again, in your workspace, or here you see this is out of the workspace. So which means you can keep it in any like a shared folder or accessible folder. So these three locations are completely provided. So you can either use it from the mainframe or from the workspace or out of the workspace. Then you need to provide your profile, which is your SMFs like a Zovi profile. And once you provide it, and it start automatically downloading, when you open the file, it start automatically downloading all those copybooks. So let me go here and show it in the configuration file.
Before you go on, there's a question.
Yes.
Does it support extensions to validate site code standards, i.e. code linting? But maybe you did answer it because it says very happy it supports local copybook resolution. Is this the same for assembler programs and macros?
This is like the linting is, we are providing these language features. So linting is not implemented yet, but this is, as I opened here, it is supporting all those language features for the copybooks as well. So I already mentioned here, you see. So that's exactly what is supported in COBOL. So it is supported in the copybooks as well.
And is that the same with assembler?
With the assembler, the copybooks, I'm not sure. Okay. So yeah. Let me now back to this one. As you see here, it is locally defined. And the second one is you can use these copybooks with your SQL include statement as well, because the idea is similar. So you see, I'm using the SQL because this is really handy for your table definitions. It makes your life a lot easier. Plus, this include, I will show in next slide, next pages, next files as well. This is for copybooks related, but you can use it for the implicit SQL CA or DA fields as well. So this is with the locally defined copybooks in the workspace. And now when you look at it here, this one is more interesting because as you see, this code4z folder is created automatically. And as you see, these files are automatically shown here. Let me just correct this one. Then I will more mention. And when you go here and resolve copybooks, and you see, this is now it is downloaded from the mainframe. And of course, it has some errors, so I will not focus on it. And so these copybooks, if you are providing it correctly, so it will be downloaded automatically when you are opening the file. Or if you have some errors in the name, then you can still resolve it. So after the resolution, quick fix, you again download it, able to just continue. The third thing is out of the workspace. As you see, here is the, let me go to the reveal in the Explorer. As you see, this is out of the Explorer and I'm using it. So this is how handy to use copybooks in the COBOL program. So let me continue. Now, another handy feature. As you see, like there is no error in this code. and I'm using here SQLDA and SQLCA, and when I'm clicking on it, it's not opening because the idea is same, because SQLCA communication area or description area is implicitly, and it's supported by even in the mainframe. So that's the idea, how to support them, but you can still have the here hover over support for these two fields. So this is exactly simulating the mainframe experience. And when we open this one, we have a lot of errors, but we have like another database, which is like a datacom, and they are using the similar same SQL fields for resolution, but they enhance these fields with their own fields. So we are not now supporting this as well. So if you go to here to the configuration, and in the configuration with the COBOL, in the beginning you see target SQL backend. So for these two fields, we are, if we change it to the datacom, and I'm back to here, you see all of them are disappeared because now I'm supporting these two fields for datacom related syntax. And when I'm back here, there is an error because I already changed it. So by default, it is using DB2. So if you want to use the datacom, it is supported there fully. So let me back to the example. And it's I think, yeah, this is our last example related to this LSP. What about the troubleshooting? We discussed about the debugging, only the protocol. I will show it in next slides as well. But another like a handy method for troubleshooting is like working with logs. And for example, if users are using our extension, and if they find some errors or some like some more features they want, still, like as I mentioned, there is a GitHub repo, and you can create an issue there. But to be more specific and to get more what's going on there, then you can just, again, in the configuration, we are providing a section with the just as you see here, the logging level, you can tune them just according to that one. And here in your configuration, you see it's in the warn, and respective files, you can find it because this folder is automatically created, and then just you find it automatically in the LSP COBOL under your user profile. So this is logs, and you can just see what's going on. So you can provide more specific messages, and sometimes even it can be solved locally. So this is regarding to the troubleshooting. And this is all about the LSP stuff. So let me close and back to the slide. So what else I forgot? I think I go through all of them. Debugger for mainframe, and this is another extension, and I will not go too much detail for theoretical part here. So you can either create log point, watch expressions, you can just make them monitored, and conditional, unconditional breakpoints, all those features are supported. And let me just show you how it is, how it should be installed. Then I will put the video, which is also available in YouTube. So just I will make them as a demo part for the debugger. So for the extensions, just when you search the Broadcom, you will get all those supported extensions, but this is our one, debugger for mainframe. It is at the same time part of the Code4Z. So if you install this one, you get all of them at the same time. Yeah, here. So in this case, I already installed it. And by the way, you can just go through the README file for each extensions, what is needed, because, for example, Java 8 is needed, or, for example, if you have different extensions, sometimes like for different language, there may be a clash. So for such details, it's the all README files are quite descriptive. So let me back to the debugger part. After you install it, the configuration is needed because I already mentioned because of this general debugger and the tools for each language, you need to do the configuration. You need to provide your server, debugger server, user address, and the application ID for KICS region. And once you configure it, and then like you will just later open the file which you want to. Here I will not do the live demo for that part, but just to show it, you can just, it's the same as different languages as well. You can have a add breakpoint or disable, or you can do like a different, like you see, expression for the log messages or hit count. So the logging, if you don't want to stop the breaking because it's time consuming at the same time, just to see it on the log, all those features are provided. So let me just start the video here. It's ready. Sorry, just this part is, I already make it, so you can just download it. At the same time, like it is supported for Eclipse Share tool as well, which is a cloud web editor. And it's repeating. You can see like with the audio supported on YouTube as well. So just debugger for mainframe search is handy. So here, let me just stop this one. Eclipse Share, which is a TEA-based editor for your Kubernetes. I will not go through the installations here, but it has already like with the basic stack, it is supporting all these plugins. So if you want to code it there, all those Zovi code for the COBOL, for LASM, all of them are already there. So you can use it for your COBOL development as well. So as you see here in the mainframe stack. And after that, you do the similar step for the configuration of copybooks or Zovi or debugger and as well. So here, as you see, you are providing all those server information and credentials, and provide your server address and KICS application ID. After that, you start the debugger at the same time in separate session. Then you will experience with the debugging using the COBOL code. So as you see, the source is opened and you are providing a breakpoint there, log points or hit points according to that one. You can check the variables with specific value. Then once you trigger the debugger, it will stop there and you will see, you will get the communication as in the orange indicator here, and you will go through the support. Here, you are just starting the KICS region, and all the variables are available in the watch list. And here it's printing the log point. and it's quite handy for the mainframe developers to face these debugging features. Yeah, this is all about debugger. So let me back to the slide. Yes.
Minutes,
Yeah.
is that?
Yes, this is the end of the session. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer. And if you have any, if you want to do the contribution, because if you have any specific use cases, you can enhance. If you have any idea, feel free to support us. So these are the links for the open source projects. So any questions?
Nothing in the chat at the moment. Thank you very much. I was doing some Control Shift P activity on my Visual Studio Code as you were going through it to see those code snippets and things. So appreciate the education facilities that you provided there, Azat. You know, that's really interesting. And
yeah, thank you.
Some of it I will watch back when the video is available, because there was absolutely loads that you covered in that session. Absolutely loads. So for everyone, that was session 1AY. Oh, hang on. Atul has another question. Let me unmute you, Atul. If I can find you. Atul, ask to unmute. There we go.
Thank you, Stuart. One question I had was, on one of the screens, you had quite a few things open. I was wondering, can you split the windows over multiple monitors just to split things out a bit?
In the VS Code, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, of course. This is actually supported by itself, yes. It is actually, this is VS Code feature. It's not related to COBOL, but this is, you can share it vertically, horizontally.
Can I take it across 2 monitors just to spread out the workload?
Do
you know?
You mean these files, or the thing is you can open 2 instances at the same time. With the VS Code, you can open it as a file separately as well. So this allows you to use it in multiple monitors as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome.
I'd add as well that there's also a live share facility. So
yes,
in this distributed world we've been working on, if you want to get some help with editing, you can actually get someone to join you in your edit session, and you can show them what you're doing and they can help you. So
this extension actually, live share, is making your life quite easier as well. So for example, you just share it with your colleagues, and then even your colleague can code on your VS Code. So fix will be, even regarding to any distance, fix will be on your machine.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful, isn't it? Right, top of the hour. Thank you, everyone. 1AY, as I said, for the session feedback. Just a little bit of GSE left to go today and tomorrow, but there's still some fantastic sessions. So have a great rest of the GSE, and thank you again, Azat. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you for joining, and have a nice day.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.